So, Matt, this is Survivor. Weird things can happen at any point. So knowing that, as I know you do, why didn't you bring your freaking bag to the challenge?
I know. I'm such a fool for that one. And I say it in confessional too. I'm like, I'm an idiot. Like, this is the worst play ever. Like, this is a rookie Survivor mistake. And it just shows like the moment like that you get comfortable and start to sort of slip, they're gonna come with something and they're gonna get you. I think Jeff said it in the challenge as well. Like don't get comfortable because you'll let that ball drop. And like, yeah, in that moment, I was just like, we're merged. Like, no matter what, we're coming back to this beach. Like, I'll feel okay. And for the record, I was not the only one who left their bag. I was the only one for whom it mattered, but I was not the only one who was like slipping up in that way. So yeah, I'm kicking myself for that one. I don't know that it would have made a difference, but you know, at least I would have tried.
Well, if you had had the bag, what would you have taken out of it?
Obviously, so at this point, I'm pretty sure my idol is fake. I would have played it anyway. At that point, I'm throwing everything at the wall. I'm pretty sure it's me. So I'm just literally like any straw I will cling on to. So I would have played the idol. I would have played the shot in the dark as well. To be honest, and this sounds like sort of crazy, but I had it in my head that it would be kind of legendary to go down without ever having voted, like make it all the way to the merge and then like go through my final travel, literally never having like written anyone's name down. I thought that was like funny somehow, and so I was like sort of fixated on making that happen. I also saw the shot in the dark as like pretty much my only shot here until the whole advantage situation.
Well, let's get into the challenge a bit. The second I saw you and Franny on separate teams, I said to myself, all right, if one of them is the last one standing on their team, they clearly need to step off the beam and throw it so that way both of them get immunity. Had that scenario run through your mind at all while at the challenge?
Definitely, especially once it was like only Franny on the other side. I was like, I know she's safe. And I wanted to win the challenge too, right? I was going for it. Couldn't navigate the freaking balance beam. But yeah, the thought definitely crossed my mind of like, you know, like what's the best way to play this strategically? And I think it crossed her mind as well. But at the same time, like, this is Survivor, anything can happen again, and you want to put your best foot forward, right? And something I was thinking about for Franny, like I'm genuinely so proud of her for like winning the immunity and like, I don't know, setting the tone in this way. I don't, you know, fault her at all for like wanting to compete and wanting to win. We're all there because we're like competitors and we want like that moment of Jeff putting the freaking necklace on you. We all dream about that all the time. And so yeah, I think that, you know, from a strategy perspective, yes, we want to keep the pair. And if one of us wins immunity, like you should probably step off and keep the other one safe. But at the same time, right, like this is, I can't hold it against Franny for wanting to compete. And I mean, come on, she beat Brandon, the freaking NFL player. It's like, you know, a little girl from Minnesota standing on the balance beam, like outlasting this big guy who's like played on the Seahawks. Like, how cool is that? What a story.
I think she has a future as a boom mic operator. With that, listen, I know you had probably a lot of, as you're watching at that point on the bench, the end of that, I'm sure you had a lot of different emotions, but I need you to be 100% honest with me right now. When it got down to Franny versus Brandon, were you hoping she would drop the ball?
Yeah. I mean, okay, I was hoping that I would be safe in that moment. It was a complicated feeling for me as well, because actually, and I don't think they showed this in the episode, but when Brandon dropped the ball, I had a moment of like joy, actually. Like I was like so excited for Franny. I was like putting myself in her shoes, being like I've won the challenge, right? And I like jumped up and I was like, woo! And then I had a like turnaround of like, oh, like now I'm screwed. You know, like the emotional response came before the logical response. It kind of reminded me of Josh when like Jeff came over and announced that Matthew was like leaving the game. He was like, I'm safe. Oh, but that's really sad. You know, like you can't help but feel that competing thing, but opposite for me. Like I'm so stoked for Franny. Oh, like it's me. Obviously I wanted to like continue and it would have been much better for me. But again, like I don't hold it against her. I'm very proud of her.
Yeah, listen, I think both things can be true. Like there's the strategic move to make and there's the natural, you're up there, you're competing. It's hard to tell yourself to step off. I don't know whether you thought about it while you were up there before the challenge. I know it's hard to kind of go back and put yourself in that place. But what do you think you would have done had it been, say, you and Carolyn? Like, what do you think you would have done if you had been in Franny's spot? Do you think you would have thought it through and stepped off, or do you think you would have gone for the win?
You don't know until you're there. Honestly, I think I would have thought about it and probably knocked it off. Like if I know I'm safe, I probably would have dropped the ball because it just made sense. But it is hard. Like we're all competitive again. So yeah. And they didn't show this as well, but that challenge, it was like, I don't know, 50 minutes, like almost an hour. You have a lot of time to like think about it. And I think I probably would have ended up there.
I know this question's coming. What is the status of you and Franny now? Go ahead, spill the beans. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm unleashing the Kraken here, but we're still dating. We're still like going strong. I mean, there's so much chemistry there. We're two dorky magnets. We couldn't stay away from each other. And we knew the whole time, like I think of myself as a very like, logical, like smart guy. The one thing you come into Survivor and not do is get into a showmance because it's terrible strategy, but we literally couldn't help it. So yeah, we're still going strong. We did get Ethiopian food. Like we're planning that road trip. We're making it happen. So yeah.
Is she on the other side of that wall right now?
She's over there.
I love it. I figured as much.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned you all didn't seem to do a great job of hiding your showmance. I mean, how difficult was that trying to manage these two desires of playing the game, even dying to play, but also making this really unexpected, powerful connection that you didn't anticipate?
Yeah, I had no idea. And I did like you said, it's the last thing I expected. You prepare for this game, you could never prepare for that, right? One of the things I told myself going out there was to just sort of like embrace whatever the experience had for me, right? Like to go out there with an open mind and just like let myself feel the things I was feeling and express them and like let myself be whoever I am in that moment. And I think I really did that clearly. I mean, the waterworks are there, like the whole thing. For me, like that connection is so strong. Like that relationship with me and Franny is like so beautiful and so pure. It would be like a disservice to me and a disservice to her to like not allow that to flourish, regardless of game.
Yeah,
I'm the real winner of Survivor 44.
Absolutely. If it works out, it's better than $1 million, dude. No question. Yeah. It'll last longer too if it works out. So do you think the showmance ultimately did you in terms of the threat level you all put on yourselves? Is that why they voted you out?
Honestly, no. Me and Franny were not that subtle on Soka Beach. Like it's very clear. But we did actually like kind of tone it down and like come to our senses, right? We're in the clouds for a bit. We tightened it up. And I don't think that the bond between me and Franny was so obvious to everyone else, right? Jamie came to our beach. She's like, I don't know what Matt's doing. He seems all like off in space. Like she didn't really pick up on it. So I don't think it was ultimately the showmance. I do think people thought we were an alliance and close, and that may have played a factor. I also think that the idol thing was a big factor as well. And honestly, like everyone wants to hear this about how they were voted out, but like all of the connections that I had made, I was actually feeling really, really good about my social game come merge, like of those 11 people, I felt like I had made good bonds with like 7 of them. And it just so happened that they were all on the other tribe for the way that the rocks came out. So yeah, I was genuinely feeling really good. And I think that they probably picked up on that and saw it more as like Matt is playing a good social game, and this is a opportunity where he's like, powerless. We have to take this opportunity to take him out. I'm pretty sure that was how it went down.
How much time have you spent, over the past year dwelling over the twist that sort of put you in that group of 5 and how things might have been different had they just had a regular, straight old challenge and tribal council?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many different permutations of how the teams could have gone. There's so many different ways that the like twists could have gone. There's so many ways that the idol or like the advantage could have gone. Like the whole thing. I mean, everything kind of like stars aligned, but negative for me. Like all of that had to be true for me to go home tonight, and it just so happened to be true. Literally, like any other group of 5, I think I would have been okay in, and it was just that. So. But it is what it is. Again, like honestly, having seen the episode, it was like a Matt Swan song, like beautiful episode. And I think I came out way like as good as I possibly could have. You know, like I was freaking out on Soka Beach. I was unhinged at travel. Like I was like losing my mind. And I think it was a very kind edit. So I'm happy with the whole thing.
How did Franny handle watching it?
We were both in tears. Like she was weeping, I was weeping. It was a really like intense experience reliving that. I mean, I think you can see it tribal. Like I'm a smiley dude. I'm smiling all the time. But I knew I was going home, and I was in like that was like the darkest place for me the whole time. Like I felt like I was processing my elimination sitting at tribal before it had happened, you know, like that was like a rough place, and I think you can see it in my face as well. So we were weeping for sure.
Last thing for you, Matt. I always ask this to everyone because there's so much that doesn't make it in the episode. There's just not enough time.
For sure.
So what's something that happened out there that we didn't get to see on TV that you kind of wish we had been able to see from your experience out in Survivor 44?
So back on Soka, you know, riding the good times, we were winning challenges, everything was good, we're breathing every day, all that stuff. We were talking about what's like the wackest analogy you could make at tribal council, like what's like a really silly thing you could throw in there. And what we landed on was a bidet. We were like, there's something just like so funny about like bringing a bidet into tribal council. And so on my way out, like again, I was so sure it was me. I was like, I gotta throw my homies at Soka this like bone. So I tried to make a bidet analogy just for them. I knew it wouldn't make air. I knew like it wasn't for anyone except for those people sitting on the bench. Like I just, you know, like I had to do it for them. So talking about bidets with Jeff at Tribals.
What's the analogy?
Well, Jeff was like, this is a family friendly show. We can't be talking about poop. But yeah, I was literally like, you know, up until this point in the game, I may have been like, you know, throwing everywhere, and like, you know, I was a messy guy, but today I'm washing that all clean. Like I want to come clean slate, be totally honest. Honestly, the analogy worked because that genuinely was my play at that point. I was trying to convince Brandon that I did not have a real idol. I was trying to convince all the Ratu people, like, I don't have this. I was telling them the whole story. So, I mean, the analogy worked, but yeah, it was mostly for the people sitting on the bench there.